Hey guys, Omerko here, self-taught web developer. This will be my first video for Nest.js and I wanted to create full, simple CRUD functionality for it. So we will create API for Task app. For those who don't know, Nest.js is a progressive Node.js framework for creating efficient, reliable and scalable server-side applications. It is built for Node.js on top of Express.js. It is also highly motivated by Angular, so Nest.js syntax looks similar to Angular syntax. If you are Angular developer or at least know some basics of it, learning Nest.js won't be a big deal for you. On official Nest.js website, you can find everything that you need to know about Nest.js, as they have vast documentation which is not hard to read. To use Nest.js and build our first project with Nest.js, we should first install it. To do that, here in my console I will use npm install and flag for as a G stands for global, and then at nest.js/CLI. So we are installing CLI of Nest.js. Similar to Angular, Nest.js has its own CLI which we could run. Also use it to run a local server, and there are many methods that we could use from Nest.js CLI to, for example, generate controllers, services, and regarding those you will see more once we get into the project. Now that I installed the latest version of Nest.js, I'm able to create my task app itself. So to do that, I will use nest and then new. Similar to Angular, we are using ng and then new, and the name of the application. I will use task app API as a name. So if I hit enter, it should first ask me regarding the package that I wish to use. As you can see down here, which package manager would you love to use? Basically, I will go with npm here because, well, I'm already using npm for many other projects. So yeah, I am most experienced in using npm package manager. If you are using yarn, you can also use yarn here if you are more experienced with it. So first of all, now that my application is ready, I could route myself to that. I will use cd, then task app API, and here I can see that. If I run now npm run start, it will take some time, but Nest.js will now run the the local server for me. So let's just wait a bit for everything to be prepared by Nest.js. But here it is, everything is here. So now I opened up my local host on 3000 and I have here hello world. If I zoom in, you can see it. So I will go into the code now and I will show you from where these hello world came basically. So here I will now close my npm run basically start. I will close my local server and I will use code that which will open up my Visual Studio Code in this project. And here I am. So first of all, what we could see on the side here, we have a source file which will hold all of our main application files, and this looks similar to Angular. We have a node modules as we are using npm. We have a distribution folder which holds all distribution files, and we have a test which holds all the test files. Down below you can see that we have package.json and package.lock.json, which are the main files to use for npm package manager. And also we have nest CLI JSON, which is kind of just the configuration for the nest CLI that we are using here. Also here we can see that this source root, the src, is our main folder of the application. So let's go to that folder. Inside of that folder I can see first this main ts, and this is the main file that will run. Nest.js will run this file, and this file will basically create the Nest factory from app module. So everything that is imported into app module will at the end serve us as our application. And also you can see that app is listening on port 3000. If you have some other port from your server, you can pass here or port itself that you wish to use. Regarding this app.listen, you can see that this looks similar to the Express.js. And as I mentioned, Nest.js is built upon Express.js. So it will use an Express.js, but in a shorter way, in a better way for us here. Well, for Angular developers at least. Next thing, let's go into the app module itself, and here we can see that this is our main module for our application, and we have a controller and providers. Providers are the services. Services are similar as in Angular. Those are injectables, but I will talk more about those when we take a look into the app service. App controller is the controller. Well, we don't have components here, we have controllers because we are on the backend side. So controller will basically communicate with the front end side. It will get request from the front end side, and it will pass that request and the data from it to the service. Service will do the functionality and bring back that to the controller, and controller in the end will give response back to front end. And that is basic workflow of this module. We could also have interceptors, middlewares, etc., but I won't talk about those now. We are just taking a look into the, well, main workflow and basic workflow of the Nest.js. Going into the controller itself, we can see that here we have a constructor, looks similar to our component, but it's a controller. There is a directive for a controller here. You can see that also this controller has this app service imported inside, so it is using the app service itself. And here we have a get. This get directive stands for get method. So as you know, we could through HTTP protocol send different methods. Those could be get, post, put, patch, delete. But here we are setting those as this, as a get method. So at get and the brackets then. Next thing we have get hello. This is just a basic function, basic method. Get hello itself expects to return at the end string. So as Nest.js is using the TypeScript, we will also use the TypeScript here, and we should set the custom or the main types that we have in a TypeScript. Also, it is returning, this getHello method is returning something from our app service and also getHello method there. So as you can see, if I am coming to my localhost 3000, I will run this get method. Basically by default, Nest.js will run first get method in that controller, and this is our get method. This method is contacting at this point service. So let's go to service. Taking a look at the service, we can see that it is injectable by this directive here, so we could inject it in different controllers like we did here, well, like Nest.js did this here by default. And in service what we have that getHello, which we are targeting through through our app service. So getHello method is returning to us at the end a string, and indeed it is returning us hello world, just a basic string. So this is returning a string, this here returns a string. So basically once we visit our localhost 3000, we are dispatching this get method here. So this get method is contacting our app service, it dispatches this get hello, it returns the hello world to this controller returns that hello world back to our front side, and taking a look into browser, we can see that hello world on our browser on localhost 3000. So now, as I will create a task API here, let me show you first how could you run npm start. So npm run start, and let's use colon and dev here. With this dev flag, we could basically run our localhost well constantly, so it won't reset itself, so it will just stay active in the background. I will open another command here on the right side, and here now I could use some Nest CLI methods. So first of all, what I wish to use is Nest G for generate, and then module, and that will be tasks module. So here I am generating the module for the tasks. So as you can see, it created a new tasks module TS file and also updated the app module itself. So now taking a look into my Visual Studio Code, I will close all of my files here. You can see that in my src folder I have a tasks folder, and here I have that tasks module. This is just a normal module that we usually have in Angular mostly. Also, as it updated the app module, we can see in imports array, we can see that tasks module is imported from tasks folder. So our application is successfully also using task module here. Going back to my command, as I will have those tasks, I wish to create whole API for the tasks themselves. So here I should also create controller and service for that. As you know, controller will handle all of my requests and service will handle all of the functionality behind those. So here ng generate controller tasks, and that is it. Here you can see that I wrote ng generate. I don't wish to do that. I wish to use Nest.js for generate controller tasks. And now we can see that tasks controller is created. There is also a test file for that, and module tasks module is updated. Let me also now generate this service. So clear this up, and now Nest.js service tasks. And with this, we are ready to go into our code. Coming back to my code, here in my tasks module, what I could see is now that I have my controllers and task service as providers here. So let me first clear this up. I will remove this test file as I won't use any testing here. I will go to task controller. This is a simple controller, and also task service, simple injectable service. My task controller, here you can see that at controller directive I have tasks string here. If I go back to my app controller TS, I don't have any string here. So by this, Nest.js will on localhost 3000 run this module here, this controller here. But if I visit localhost 3000/tasks, this is basically the route. This is how Nest.js handles the routes themselves. So if I visit localhost 3000/tasks, it will run methods from this controller, not from the app controller itself. So to use this task whole module here, I wish to have some data first. So as I won't use any database here, I will create some mockup data here in my service. So here I could just open up these brackets, and what I could do here is use tasks, which will be a type of any for now. We will later set this type correctly, and those will be equal to an array. So let's just add few tasks in our array. First of all, task should hold the ID, let's say ASD1. Then my task will have also a title, let's say task number 1. And also let's add a description for the task description. And here I will pass simple task for my app. Let me copy this whole line now and just paste it down below twice, so I could have 3 tasks here. So let me change data for these tasks. The second one will hold the ID of QWE2, and title will be go to a store. Description for this will be because I need to buy some milk. And the third one, different ID. And then title for this could be wash a car. And description for this could be oh, it's dirty. And that's it. Let me use it is dirty, nothing grammatic here. So tasks themselves, we have some data here. So let's create a route and also a method that will return all the tasks to us. So here down below, get all tasks comment, and I will use get tasks method here. So this method in the end will return to me array of any objects inside. So basically later I will change this to correct model, but for now no. So what it should return? So return, and here I could just use this .tasks. So we shouldn't first of all return these tasks like this, because we are returning the exact data. I wish here to return the copy of the tasks. So I will cut this out and use array here and splice method that we usually use in ES6, and then this task. So this will basically return the splice, the copy method, the copy of the whole tasks array to me. So now, from where I could get these tasks? First of all, this is not able to get at this point. I need also to add a route here in my controller. To do that, I will first add a constructor here, constructor, and for my constructor, I should import private and then tasks service, and it will be set to a type of tasks service. So now that I have my task service, I could target it and get my tasks basically. So here, get tasks comment, and as you know, we have that get method. Get method should be imported from Nest.js/common, and here I will use get tasks method itself. So here what I wish to have, this at the end will return array of any objects, and what I wish to do here is basically return whatever I get from this tasks service that get tasks. So basically whatever I get from here. So let's go into browser and check this. In my browser, if I refresh it, I could still see just hello world here. But to see tasks, I will go to /tasks here, and here it is. It returns all 3 tasks that we have. So this is fully functioning at this point. All of that is great, but what if I wish to return specific task, for example this one here? So let's write the method for that. To return a specific task, first of all I should create here another get method. So get one task, and I will again use get method here. G should be capitalized. So I will name this method get one task, and in the end it will return to me just, well, type of any for now. But here what I wish to return, basically I will return whatever I get from this task service that get one task. For now I still don't have this method. So what you can see here is that I have 2 get methods which are basically just returning some data to me. And you know that if I visit that tasks route, it will just run one method, and then that method that will be, it is this one here. So this method won't even run on that on my browser. So what I wish to do, basically what I must do here to enable this method itself, here I must pass the route parameter. To do that, in our get we have an option to send the string here, and to send a dynamic route parameter we use first 2 dots and ID, because we will get that task ID and we will later find specific task by that ID. So passing this like this won't work. In our get one task we should get that param itself. To get the param from the route we use a directive of param. So here this directive should also be imported from Nest.js common, and I have this import here which I don't need. So this param here will get that param of ID, and I could set that ID to be ID as it is, and the type of it will be string. So now that I have this ID, I could just pass that ID to my get one task, and now in my get one task I will have that functionality that will get, well, that task to me back. So basically I will copy this get one task, go into service, and here I will have a get one task comment and a method. In my method I'm getting that ID which is type of a string, and in the end it will return type of any to me for now. And let's first find that task. So const of task is equal to this tasks, and I can use filter or find here. So let's find this task. I have here t as a task, so t.id if it's equal to the ID that I passed basically here. So if the ID that I passed is equal to one of the task's IDs, then I will have my task. If I don't have my task, then at that point I wish to use if there is no task, I wish to do something. So mostly we wish to return the error here. So I will return here, mistyped there, and I will use a new not found exception. So we have these exceptions in Nest.js. This will basically this not found will just return 404 error to the front side, and you will see how that works. But if there is a task, then I will return copy of the task. So return, then object, 3 dots to splice that task, and just to return the copy of it. So now taking a look into my browser, I could refresh a page. Still on my /tasks, I'm getting all of this, but if I pass here dynamic ID, for example /QWE here, I will get just one task here. As you can see, let me zoom in, maybe you cannot see it properly. So here it is. But what if I pass, let's say 222 as an ID? So this is not correct ID. At that point I'm getting 404 status code messages not found basically. So that not found exception also fully works. So now this is all great. But to run other methods like to create task with the post method, to edit task with patch method, or to delete task with delete method, we cannot do that through browser. We must use some kind of service here. So for that I will use Postman. So if you already used Postman, this will be easy for you. But if you didn't, just make sure to install it and I will go through it step by step. So here I am on task app API environment that I created here. So let's first add our first collection. Collection name will be tasks, because we are creating tasks here. So this collection could handle different requests. First of all, let's create 2 requests that we already have, so we could basically see if this Postman will work. So right click here, add request, get all tasks, save that request, and we can open up that request here on the right side. So method for request is a get. Here I wish to pass http //localhost 3000. So let's send this now, and we are getting hello world back here. So the app controller and service is also working, but this get all tasks should hit the route with /tasks, save, send, and we are getting 3 tasks that we have in our service. Let's create another request, add request, get 1 task, and here save. So now here that I have this get 1 task method, to get the task itself, I will again go to the same thing, but now I should send that ID, and I could just use this ID here. So save, and now send, and here it is. ID, title, and description of that task is returned to me. So going back to my code, and well, basically I have 2 get methods here. But now let's work with creation of our tasks. To create a task, I will go above this get, and here I will put the comment of create task, and here I should use post method. This post method should be imported from Nest.js /common. So name of the function will be create task, and this function will return something to me at the end. I will return, well, the array of my tasks here. So basically any. And how to create a task itself? Well, as we passed that param, we also could get the body here. So to get the body, I should use body directive, which also should be imported from Nest.js /common, and body itself could hold some data. If I wish to basically get whole body, here I could set this body to be a body, which will be at the end type of any, and that is it. So now I could return here something that I have. To return something here, I will go return this.tasks service dot create task, and I will pass this body just into create task. So let's first create this create task in our task service. So here create task comment create task method, which get that body which is the task itself, and we have the any here. Well, it is set to an any. It will return, well, again, array of any. For now, I'm just telling this for now because we will do the models later. So in my task service, first of all, what I wish to do, basically, I wish to check if my task.title is equal to an empty string, or my task.description is equal to an empty string. If one of those is equal to an empty string, if one of those is empty, then I will return here, and I will return new bad request exception. So at that point the request is bad, and we shouldn't we shouldn't create the task because we don't have enough data for that task. Now let's create the task that we will add at the end into our tasks array here. So const of task to create, which will be the type of any, later it will be a type of task, and here I will create the object with the ID, and to generate the random ID I will use new date. I will generate the ID by date and get time, and now this time is a number. I should use here instead of a number to string to set this number to a string, because we are using IDs as a strings here. So next thing, title should be, well, whatever we passed in our task here. So task.title, and description should also be task.description. And we have our task to create. Now we are ready to push our task. So this.tasks.push, and we will push task to create. And once that is finished, we will return here, we will return the array of this.tasks. And that is it. Also, we could see that we have the error here, and instead of this return, I will use throw bad request exception. And we have this fully created. To test this in my Postman, I will create here a request, add request, request name will be create task, and this create task won't be get method but post method, and it will be localhost 3000/tasks. Here I will save, and I should send that body. So body will hold the raw data of not text but the JSON. So here let's create that JSON data. I am sending the title, and let me send the title of well, another task, just as an example. And the next one will be description to test my API. Now save, and let's send this. And now we got back the array of well, all tasks, and in the end we can see that another task is also here. But we have the error here. There is a problem because we have two arrays here. So going back to my Visual Studio Code, I can see that I didn't spread here my task to send a copy, but I basically added the array into another array. So now that we created this create task, let's go to controller again, and let's add a method to delete a task. So down here, delete task, we have delete method that we could use. That delete method should be imported from Nest.js common, and here I will use delete task, which should in the end return, well, let's return just a string here. So we will return the ID of the task that will be deleted. To get the exact task that we should delete, I should pass here the ID of the task as a parameter here in my delete method. To get that param, here I will use param directive, get that ID inside, set it as an ID of type of string, and now we are ready to do our work. So here I will return whatever I get from this .tasks service.delete task, and for this I should pass the ID inside. So let's create this delete task. Task service is here, and get task, get one task. Here I will create delete one task, and delete task will get the ID back, which is type of string, and will return also string back to my Postman. So first of all, I should get this task by the ID. As you can see, I have similar code here, so I could copy this code just. But let's work smartly here. Let's create the, well, combined function here. So let's create private find task here, and this find task will have the ID of string. I will get that ID of string here. This should be private, and here I will have a const of task equals to, well, basically to equals to this. Let me copy this here, and I will just return task from here. So now instead of const of task and then running this find, I could just use a find task method that I have and pass the ID inside, and it will search that task for me. Also, I will do the same thing here for my delete. So now we have the same code running for multiple functions. We will do that later also for our update. So in the end, if we find a task, so if there is no task, first of all, let's handle that. Then we will return new not found exception. So here I won't return but throw new not found exception. Let me also be good and not, instead of not returning, I will also throw new not found exception here in get one task. But if I have that task, then I will get the index of it. So const of index will be equal to this .tasks .index of, and I will pass that task to get the exact index inside of the array of that found task. So now I could remove the task. So return, so basically this .tasks .splice here, and I will delete, basically splice the task at the index that I got, and I will just splice one task. So now that I removed my task, I could just here return object of ID that I got from here. So that's it. I don't even need to return the object. I could just return the ID, which is a string. So I'm returning string from here, also from here, so I could get to my Postman. Inside of my Postman, instead of create task, I will add another add request, delete task here, save the tasks. So first of all, it's not the get method, it's delete method. It's a localhost task and the ID at the end. We need that ID, and save it. And what will happen if I send this? If I send this now, I am getting that ID back, which is .qwe2. If I go to get all tasks now, send, you can see that I just have two tasks now. I don't have the second task at all. So we successfully deleted one task from our array. Let's finally work with updating of the tasks. To update tasks, instead of above my delete here, I will put comment of update task, and I will use patch method for that. So patch here. So I will have a method of update task, and this method will return something to me. At the end, it will return that task that should be updated. So here I will put any. So to find that task that should be updated, here I should pass the ID. So ID in my patch here, and I should also get that ID by param. So param of ID in a string will be the ID itself, and the type will be string itself. But I also should get the body that I should basically use to update my task. So for that, I will use again body here. You can see that I put comma here to use this body. And I will set this body to be a body with type of any for now. So now that I have both of those, here I will just return whatever I get from this .task service.update task. And I will pass here the ID and the body that I got from my route. So let's create this update task in our service. To create this update task, I will go above this delete task method that I have, put comment of update task, add that method. I am getting ID here, which is a string, and I'm getting the body here, which is the task itself, which will be the type of any. It will also return any to me at this point. And what now? First of all, let's check if we have everything that we need for our body. So I wish to update my task by both properties, by title and also by description. So I should check if the task.title is equal to an empty string, or the task.description is equal to an empty string. So if that's the case, then here I will throw new bad request exception. Now that I handle this, let's get our task. So instead getting my task here by the find task, here I will do something different. I will get the index of the task itself. So const of index will be equal to this tasks.find index. Here, how to get that index? I will have a task inside as I'm looping through my tasks, and an arrow function here, and I will check if the task, which is t.id, is equal to my ID that I passed here. So now I have that index. So if one of those IDs is equal to one of these here, then I will have my index here. So now I could just update my task quickly. So this .tasks, and I will go into the index itself, into that specific task. So here will be equal to object, first of all, which basically I will pass here two values. First value will be the copy of that same task, basically this same task, here, this .tasks and index, and I will just spread everything that I have from my task that I got from my body here, and that's it. So if you don't know what this really is, basically I'm setting this my current task, which I got from the find index here. I am setting this task to be equal to what it is, and also to what I am getting from my task that I got from my body. Basically at this point I am updating all of the data from here to data from here, and that's it. So we did this in one line, and here I will just return and copy of that task. To do that, I will just return a copy of this .tasks and index here, and that's it. So let's create now a route to update our task. So add request, update task here, save to tasks. Here instead of get I'm using a patch. So here I will use now localhost /tasks/ the ID that I wish to update, and I should also send the body here with the data that I wish to update. So raw data, JSON here, it will be the JSON obviously, the title will be set to title to update, and the description will be set to description to update. So let's save this now, send, and we got back that the same task that we just updated, which is correct. Let's run this get all tasks now, and we can see that this task have title to update and description to update. So we done it. So now here, everywhere we have this type of any for every data that holds our tasks. We will create the model for our task now, and also I want, basically this API works good now, but if you are creating real API and you are also have a lot of data to handle, maybe some advanced functionality, instead of running these functions like this, you should use promises. So basically async, await. So let me integrate all of this and you will see how simple CRUD functionality could work perfectly basically. First of all, in my tasks here, I will create a new file of task.model.ts. So this model could look basically the same as the Angular one, but we could also create the schemes if we are using the database. So here I will export interface of task, and my task will hold the ID of string, but here this ID is not important. So I will put this question mark here as an optional field. Basically, if I wish to create the task, then I'm sending just the title and description to the task itself. So the ID will be generated later. So title will be also type of string, and description will be type of string. And that is good. So now to import this, I will go first to my task service and let's see where we are using this. Here we have a tasks, which is the type of any. We will change that to task to be array of tasks. Then here in creation of task, we are getting that task. It should be the type of task. It will return the array of tasks here. Task to create is the type of task. Let's continue down. Get tasks is the it will return the array of tasks to me. Here task, I'm getting one task. Then update task, task everywhere task, right? So just use this task model instead of any data that we have. So we are finished with our service. Let's go to controller. Controller is having here body, task. I didn't import here. I have imported from my task model. Returns the array of tasks. Get tasks, also do the same thing. Here I'm returning just one task. I'm having task as a body and as a return the data in my update task. And for my delete task, I am having just strings, so that's okay. So now let's quickly check our our data here. So get all tasks, everything is here. Let's get one task, send, there it is. Let's update that one task, send, here it is. Let's get it once again with updated data. Let's get all the tasks, here it is. Let's also create one task with all that updated data and also that new task, and let's delete that task. Returns a string. Get all tasks now returns just the 3 values with the new task that we added and without that second task that we had. So even though we added our custom model, works great. So now let's integrate the promises themselves. First of all, create task itself. We'll get async and will return data to me. Here where I'm creating a task, I will use await here. This is not important to use await here, but if you have some data that you are generating through multiple functions, getting some data just to generate one of the datas, then you should await everything to be done here and then push the task to the tasks array. So now we cannot return just task array here, but we are returning here promise with its generic type, which is the type of task array. So task array here, and that is it. So after my create, I have get tasks here. For my get tasks, I don't really need to await for these tasks to happen because I already have the data here, so I won't use promises here. Get one task will use async here, and I will await here where I am getting my task. So here await. If I'm looping through database or something like that, I should wait for the task to return here. And in that case, we should also async await here, because we also could get all the tasks from database, so that could take some time. And here I will return promise with its task array type inside. So here where I'm getting one task, I will return promise with task type inside. That's it. Also update task, same thing, async here. and I will await here for the index, await here, because again, if I was connected to database, maybe it will take some time to get correct index of the task. So I should await that first to happen so I could find the task itself. I will return here promise of task itself. So now here where I have delete task, once again async, and here where I have this index of, I should await here. And also I could await here this find index to find task. First of all to find the task and then to loop through the tasks and find the index of the task. Obviously if I'm going through the database once again, it could take some time. So I should basically add asynchronous here to stop whatever I'm working on just to get that data, and that async await will do that for me. So here instead of returning that string, I will return promise with the type of string, and that's it. For my find task, I could also integrate here async and await here, and that's it. Also, I could here return promise of task. That's it now. Obviously now where I'm using this find task, I'm also using this async await. This won't make any problems, but also we could remove at one of those this async await. It's up to you. So now going to my controller, everything is red. This is not correctly now. Because I'm not returning task data, but I'm returning promises, I should do that here. So where I have the create task, I will use async here. And here, instead of returning this, I will create the task. And as I will return the array of the tasks at this create task method in my service, here I will use const of tasks to be equal to await whatever I have from this create task. And at the end, I will return tasks here. So here, instead of returning task, I'm returning promise with its type of task array. And now this is okay. Also for my get tasks here, I will, instead of returning this, use const of tasks equals to await here. I should first also put the async here at my get tasks. And here I'm not returning task array, I'm returning promise with the task array. So I'm expecting this to happen. So here I should also use return tasks. That's it. For my get one task, here I will use async, and I will here use const of task equals to await whatever I'm getting from my get one task method in my task service, and I should return that task once I have it. Then here I'm using a promise, I'm returning a promise with the task itself as a type inside. Here I didn't use async correctly, so async, now it works. For the patch, for the update, here I will basically use const of task to be equal to await, and I should use asynchronous here, async, and I should return promise of type of a task, so I will return that task. And finally delete method here, so async, this will be const of task ID, which will be equal to await of the delete task. I will return that task ID, and here instead of returning string, I will use promise of string. So now we also handle the types of our CRUD functionality fully, and next to the types we also handle the async await, the promises themselves. So let's test everything. Send get all tasks, all of those are here. Let's now get one task, here it is with the go to a store. Let's update the same task, and let's now get that same task. Now it has the updated data. So get all tasks, now we have that task with updated data. Also, if I go to delete that same task, send, I'm getting that string back. Get all tasks now, there it is. let's get one task with that same task. There is a 4 of 4, basically it wasn't found at all. Let's create new task and now get all tasks. We have new task with the ID of the time basically. So this will be all for this video. This was kind of a quick introduction to Nest.js, which served us as a crash course and also API app with full CRUD functionality. You saw what Nest.js is, how can we use it, its syntax. You also learned about services, controllers and a bit more. We then saw how can we create requests and handle data from requests and also return those back as responses. You learned also that whole communication with controllers and services, and you even worked with promises here a bit, even though this is a small API. And we also tested everything through Postman, and now it is fully working. I had a nice idea now for you. Try to create application for front side and use just this API that we used through this video. Create UI and all calls that you can through your front side application. I will also now announce that I will, for my next video, we will together create Angular application based on this API that we created today. So make sure to follow me, as in 7 days we will continue our development on this project. So this will be all for this video. If you like what you saw, please click like and subscribe, as I am posting new content weekly on this channel. Thanks once again, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.